All right, so I'm going to do a demonstration of working on feature branches and collaborating between the same two people, me, Colt, and Stevie, the chicken. So I've made another repository on GitHub called Creatively Feature Branch Workflow. I've already added Stevie as a collaborator and I've accepted the invitation, so Stevie shows up there. And I've been working on this repo locally as Colt. So I haven't done much. This is all that we have. If it's the same thing, a Bootstrap website, just basic Bootstrap included and a heading that says Hello World. So again, we're not trying to go crazy with some fancy code or anything. I'm just trying to show the workflow. So in the last example, it sucked working on the master branch or on the main branch. I had to pull down and merge code before I could ever push my code up. We broke the main branch because Stevie was trying to share some incomplete code to get feedback and hopefully get it solved. Anyway, that won't be a problem if we work with branches. So I also cloned it down from Stevie. Right, this is Stevie's side as it shows you there. I cloned it down and we're working on it locally as Stevie. So why don't we say Stevie gets to work on a navbar, same thing as last time. Now he's not going to work on the main branch. Instead, he's going to create a new branch. We haven't really talked about naming feature branches. I'm going to keep it very simple and do something like navbar or add navbar. There are lots of patterns that large companies and organizations follow for feature branch or just branch naming in general. You might see things like feat for feature / navbar, for example. And then you might see something like bug or fix or refactor, different prefixes. But I'm just going to go with a very simple one. We'll just call it navbar. So we'll do git switch -c to make that new branch, navbar. Okay, and again, I'm logged in right now as Stevie. I'm working as Stevie. So on this branch that we're currently on, I can go ahead and try adding a navbar. So we'll do the same thing as last time. I'll copy that very large navbar from Bootstrap. I'll put it up top. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, there's our basic navbar. But once again, it's not working the way it's supposed to. What's going on? Well, I would like to share this with Colt and, get some feedback from him or from anybody on the team, see if they can fix that issue. I'm not going to merge it into master. I'm simply going to take this branch. I'm going to add and commit my work on this branch because I can have incomplete or broken stuff on a branch. No one cares. My master branch or the main branch is supposed to be the source of truth branch for my application. So I'm going to add and commit as Stevie. So git add index, git commit, begin navbar or add broken navbar. Okay, so now I can push that up to GitHub if I want to. I probably wouldn't push that up as just a broken halfway working navbar, but if I wanted to get feedback or collaborate with a teammate, which is what I'm going to demonstrate, then I definitely would push it up. So I'm going to do that now. We have our remote, right? We have origin, and I'm going to push the branch navbar. So git push origin navbar and push that up. I refresh, and we already see, okay, navbar has recent pushes less than a minute ago, and I can see my work is showing up here on navbar by Stevie Chicks. So I preserve the state of main. I don't have to screw up main, and I can still share code that is incomplete. Meanwhile, Colt is working away on his own feature, and so he's on his own branch. What is he doing? Let's say he's working on a pricing table like you see here. This is just one of the examples from Bootstrap. If you go to examples, so I'm going to start, before I go any further, by making a branch that we're going to work on. So if we're trying to make this pricing table, let's make a branch called pricing table or something like that. So I'm now switched back to Colt, and I'm going to just check. All right, I'm on main. So the first thing I would always do is just see if there's any updates or any new changes to main before we branch, because we want the most recent version of main. Maybe a coworker has merged something into main and I don't have it. So we could always do git pull origin main, although there's nothing new up there. We're already up to date. But now I can make my branch without having to worry that I'm missing commits. Anyway, git switch -c, let's just call this pricing table. Okay, so I'm on this new branch, and now I can do some basic work. I'll do maybe 2 commits. So the first one, I'm just going to add a container to work inside of. If you don't know Bootstrap at all, again, that's not the point here, so please don't worry about it. But I'll just do very basic, simple commits. Like you wouldn't commit that, just a single HTML element, but I will here. So git add index, and then I'll do git commit, add container, do index. Okay. Now let's do another commit where I'm just going to copy the markup from this example on Bootstrap to make this pricing table. I'll inspect, and then let's see if I can make this larger for you. I want this right here. So I'm just going to right click, copy, and then copy outer HTML. I want the whole thing. Whoopsies. Not just the particular element, but really it doesn't matter. This is not a course on HTML or copying and pasting, but I'm going to paste that inside, pretend that I've been working on that all morning. Okay, so that looks fine enough, right? And the good news is that if I want to share this, maybe I'm not done, but I want to share it with somebody and push it up to GitHub, I can push this branch up at any point. It doesn't matter what other people have done. Unlike with our first workflow, where I couldn't push anything up until I had pulled down changes to main or to master, and I had to merge, and that process repeated anytime anybody pushed new changes up to GitHub. Everyone else has to pull them down and merge before they can push. But that's not an issue here. So now I can push my branch up if I add those changes. So git add index, git commit, add pricing table. I'll just go with that. Okay, and now I can push that branch up. Git push origin pricing table. And we'll go back to GitHub. And now we have 2 branches up here, navbar and pricing table. Okay, so I'm not necessarily suggesting that every time you make a feature branch, you need to push it up to GitHub. A lot of the time you won't do that unless you have a particular reason and you need to share that feature branch with somebody. But often if you look at an organization's repositories, they're not going to have thousands and thousands of branches, even though there have been thousands of feature branches over the probably a month or a couple of months at least. There's just tons and tons of new branches all the time. We don't push them all to GitHub. If we do, we remove them, but also just a lot of the time you don't need to push them up to GitHub. You will merge them in to master or to main at some point, and then just delete the branch when you're done. So they don't need to stay around if you end up merging that stuff in. Anyway, sticking with Colt, let's say that now Colt gets that Slack message from good old Stevie saying, hey, I pushed up that navbar. Could you take a look? I don't know why it's not working. It's supposed to collapse, and it is, but it's not expanding on small screen sizes. I'm not getting the drawer that I'm getting on the documentation. Why is it not working? So Stevie's just a chicken. What do you expect? I'm no expert, but I think we can figure it out. So what I need to do is pull that branch down, right? And before I do that, I could just fetch. So I'm on Colt again, just to be clear. I can do a git fetch origin and just get everything from origin. Has anything changed? And yep, it says new branch, navbar. So we have origin/navbar. And I could start by just going into detached head. I'm trying to make this a bit larger here, and checking out. If we do git branch-r, we see there's this origin/navbar remote tracking branch reference. So I could check that out, git checkout if I wanted to, origin/navbar, detached head, but I can take a look and here it is, right? I can refresh. This is what's in my working directory, because I'm in this detached head state, and I can verify, is it actually broken? Well, it's collapsing how it's supposed to, but that's not working. So, okay, I see Stevie's right, something is going on, and I want to work on that branch. I want to make a contribution as Colt on that navbar branch. So I need to leave detached head. Let's just go back to where we were. We can do this git switch dash. So now I'm back on pricing table. And then if I want to check out that navbar branch, remember with git switch, it's super simple. I can do git switch and then just the same name. So navbar, Git will automatically make me that branch navbar, even though it doesn't exist on my machine yet, and set it up so that it's connected, it's tracking origin/navbar. So here we go. It tells me exactly what I just said, branch navbar set up to track remote branch navbar from origin. So now I'm working on the navbar. I'm not just in detached head, and I can start to, try and tweak it and figure it out. I happen to know what the problem is. This requires Bootstrap JavaScript, which I did not include. So let's say that was an accident. A very trivial, simple to fix issue, but most anybody would notice that in a matter of seconds. I didn't include the JavaScript file. So I'm going to go get that from Bootstrap. Just right here, let's take that script. Okay, I'm going to go put it just at the bottom for HTML. Now if I refresh, hopefully it works. And indeed, it does. So we just collaborated. Colt and Stevie. Stevie started the navbar. Colt hopefully finished it. I hate saying my name in third person. Now I'm going to add and commit that change to the navbar branch as Colt. So here we go. Git status, git add index, git commit. We'll just go with, add fix navbar bug, even though it's really not a bug. It was just missing the entire JavaScript that it needed. Anyway, we'll pretend I just fixed some bug for Stevie. And this is on the navbar branch. So now I can push that branch up, git push origin navbar if I want to. And then I can go back to whatever I was doing, which was the pricing branch, right? What was it? Pricing table. So now I'm back to that. I'll refresh here. Completely different thing. And I can get back to work on this, right? I can experiment. I could do some radical new thing. And on GitHub, we now have the working navbar, hopefully, that navbar branch. And Stevie can now go pull that down and maybe keep working on it. Who knows? So on Stevie's machine, that's where I am right now, he hears from Colt that he fixed the bug in the navbar. So Stevie's going to go pull down the most recent changes, or maybe just the navbar branch. So git pull origin navbar. All right, fast forward because there's a new commit. If we type git log, we see the whole history here. Most recently, we have Colt fix navbar bug, and I'm currently acting as Stevie. And we see, if I expand that, the JavaScript is correctly included. And if we refresh, hopefully it works on Stevie's machine, and it does. So that's the basic idea. We're working on branches that allows us to collaborate more freely. We can experiment, try radical changes. We treat the main or the master branch or whatever branch, some branch, as the important golden child branch that we don't want to screw up. So we make feature branches. We make all sorts of branches. It doesn't just have to be for a new feature, but we make branches that we work on. Often people just call them feature branches. The thing that we have neglected to talk about with working on feature branches is the inevitable merging of those feature branches, or at least some of them. We need to merge them into the master or main branch. And how we do this is up for discussion. That's what we're going to talk about next.